Obviously, we play Norwich at home on a Sunday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And let's be honest, Norwich have 2 more days rest than us. How much of an advantage is that, do you reckon?
2 more days rest, and they played against 10 men as well. So,
but struggled.
They struggled against 10 men, 100%. So that is definitely something to consider. And they are unbeaten under Dean Smith so far. They're 4 games unbeaten now. 2 wins, 2 draws. So that you've got to take that into account. But from a Spurs point of view, you have to think that this game can't be anything other than 3 points. You've got to respect them, but the way they struggled against 10-man Newcastle shows that they're definitely a team that is structurally at the moment still has a long way to go to really get the most out of their players. I think it wasn't just that they drew with 10-man Newcastle, it's how badly they struggled to not only create chances but even contain Newcastle still with 10 men. Like they really I know they scored late on, but they were a bit lucky to get something out of that game. That they didn't create many chances whatsoever. And if anything, Newcastle on the counter-attack looked more dangerous than them. So I think there's still a lot of issues. I think, they've definitely got fight in them. They've shown that now under Dean Smith that they're not going to be a rollover. But again, similar to Brentford, we know we have better players, so we have to just make sure if we outwork them. I know it's going to be a big ask because we exert a lot of energy against Brentford, but if we can outwork Norwich on Sunday, I've got no doubt about it, we'll come away with the 3 points.
How much credit do you give Dean Smith? Because obviously, before he came in, they couldn't buy a win. They couldn't buy a draw even. They were losing every single game and getting pulverised in every single game. Dean Smith comes in. Yes, they got a win just before he came in, but, back-to-back wins and a draw, and now back-to-back draws, I think it is, for Norwich. I mean, how much credit do you give Dean Smith for the mini turnaround, I would say?
Yeah, I mean, considering when they came in, I know they won their last game before Farke got sacked, but they were down and out, you're thinking they're relegated, and now you look at the table, they're only 3 points off 17th, and so from that point of view, you've got to say fair play. I thought it was just going to be one of those where they're going to literally get go down without a fight, pretty much. It looked like it was going to be that situation. So for Dean Smith to be eking any sort of results out of that kind of squad, which I really believe is a championship squad, they really even improved since they were last in the Premier League, their squad wise. I can't remember.
No, they got rid of their best player, Buendia.
Yeah, Buendia's gone. Jamal Lewis is gone. I know they got these youngsters.
Still got Timu Puki.
They've got Josh Sargent, these youngsters coming through and whatever, but I don't even think their squad is better than when they were last in the Premier League. So, the
only players that they've got is the Alonees and Brandon Williams and Billy Gilmore, but they're not even playing that much.
Right. So I think that for him to be getting any sort of results right now is fair play to him. You've got to give him credit, but you have to give him credit, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be expecting 3 points in this game 100%. You should be expecting them to be up for a battle, but we should also be up for a battle. And once we win that battle, we should use our quality to turn them over. And we should, no doubt about it, we should be winning this game. I think that Brentford game should give us confidence in that if we stick to the structure and how we're playing, we will get good results. And I think hopefully that Brentford game should give the team confidence that when we come up against lesser teams like Norwich, you can trust our players a bit more and trust the structure, that if we just continue to outwork within this system, we will come through in this kind of game for sure.
Yeah. Last time they came to the Tottenham Stadium, beating us on penalties.
Yeah.
Obviously that was under Jose Mourinho. Was it just before the lockdown? Was that Norwich?
Yeah.
Just before the lockdown when Troy Parrott missed that penalty in the penalty shootout. But, you're saying that we shouldn't expect a victory, but anything other than a victory would be pretty...
I said no, we should.
I thought you said we shouldn't.
Oh, no. Of course we should. No, I never said that.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
I never said we shouldn't expect... No, and of course we should.
That's what I was saying. Anything other than a victory would be absolutely disastrous on Sunday.
I never said we shouldn't expect a victory. No, I would never say that against Norwich at home.
Yeah. So anything other than a win will be absolutely disastrous. When you're looking at the past kind of results, obviously we haven't played them that much in the last few years because they've been in the Championship. But That 22nd of January was the last time. Is that in the league when we beat them 2-1?
That's right.
And away we drew 2-2. So when you're looking at Norwich, how can they hurt us? Where do you think their biggest strengths are?
I think if they're compact and they catch team who look, Pukki's obviously their biggest threat, despite the fact I don't think he's anything other than an average Premier League striker. He is obviously their biggest threat, and if you allow him a bit too much space, and if you're not concentrating on him a bit, if there's a bit of lapse in concentration, then that's where they can hurt you. Like if they get him in behind, he is a decent finisher. So
and he's on form as well, as you can see, 3 goals in his last 4 matches.
See, exactly. So he's definitely one who you got to watch out for him. Todd Cantwell, don't know if he's injured or not. He's obviously one who has quality about him. So if you allow him a bit too much space, then he might be able to hurt you. But to be honest, like there aren't too many ways like that where I'm worried about them. Like they've got some decent players, but like our players are much better, head and shoulders above their players.
Man for man, every single one.
Yeah,
surely.
every single one. So you've got to think like. You've got to respect what they can do, but you can't give them too much respect whatsoever. You've got to make sure we're dominating the game, 100%. Dominating possession as well. What
are they doing differently under Dean Smith? What has caused this kind of upturn in form? Well,
under Farke, they were very much stuck to their principles of playing good football. You know, like no matter who they're playing or what. And it got them like some good results in their past. For example, remember that game they beat Man City 3-2. They played some really nice. They played some really nice football. So like they can play some nice football.
Was
but
that 2 years ago?
That was 2 years ago. I'm saying just in the past, right? They've played some really good stuff and they got them good results. But he's kind of very stubborn in his ways, Farke, and it did get them Norwich playing some good football. But unfortunately, when they came up against better opposition, which is pretty much every team in the Premier League, and they're trying to play good football, and as opposed to being a solid, difficult to beat side, right? Then pretty much more often than not, they were getting turned over because they're not especially strong. Their players aren't especially technically better than any other players in the Premier League have to offer. So when they're trying to play this good football, they become extremely easy to play against because you can out-football them because you've got better players. And if you're a defensive side, it's very easy to counter-attack them because they're not very strong defensively. They know they're going to come out at you and try and play their football, and they're not especially good. Like technically, like they're not like exceptional going forward and like breaking up, opening you up and stuff like that. So if you're a defensive line, it's very easy to just sit back, wait for their mistake, and then pounce them and counter, and then their defense is open. So because of that, Farke's team just became extremely easy to play against. What Dean Smith has gone in, he's come in and said, "All right, look, we got to stop this. Like we got to stop playing in this way because we're not good enough to play in this way." So he's made them a much more difficult to beat side. That's why you're seeing 0-0s at the moment between Wolves and against I can't remember who has gone 0-0 against recently.
Well, it was 1-1 against Newcastle.
1-1 against Newcastle, 0-0 against Wolves. It was they beat Southampton 2-1 as well. That was a game though I watched where they were very, very solid. It wasn't a game where they were dominating or anything. Very solid side. So he's got them to believe again that they can start getting results, that they're not just here in the Premier League to make up the numbers. And he's got them a lot more compact, a lot more difficult to play against, and a lot more difficult to beat, which we got to be wary of.
Yeah.
But if we dominate, 100% we should have the quality to open them up.
I mean, back on the Farke thing, the way he was doing his football for Norwich, I mean, in the Championship, you can do that with that quality. But in the Premier League, you're just going to get open up every single week.
He was naive.
But he shouldn't be because he's managed in the Premier League before and the exact same thing happened.
He's just stubborn in his way. He's got a philosophy and that's how he wants to play. And he wasn't going to change that for anyone or anything. And you look, it's commendable one end and obviously it's naive on another end. It's commendable because that's how he likes to play football. And to be fair to him, it got him promoted twice. It clearly for how, like, in terms of it, because if you look at their players, right, as we've said, it's a championship team, right? It's like a championship level team. There are probably championship teams who have a better squad than Norwich, to be honest. But it was his philosophy that set them apart and got them promoted. It wasn't anything else, but like it wasn't the quality of Norwich that got them promoted. It was Farke. It was his philosophy that was good
It
enough
was Skippy, mate.
and obviously Oliver Skip, of course. But it was his philosophy that got him promoted, and I think that shows he's a good level manager. But his philosophy wasn't enough to keep him in the Premier League, because they didn't have, like, when you come in the Premier League, it's different level. So that philosophy wasn't going to be enough to make up for the lack of quality in the squad, whereas in the Championship it was. So that was the difference. And you could probably say once he got to the Premier League, it was naive to continue playing in that way. But he believed in his methods, and rightly so, because he got him promoted twice.
But you know what they say, insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results. But he did expect the same results, and that's what they got at the end of the day.
No, but I feel bad for him because, as I said, like,
you have to find new methods of winning football games. If you're getting your asses handed to you every single game, you've got to try something new.
I get that, which is, I do understand that what you're saying, but on the flip side, if you have a philosophy and then you change it because of the level of players you have, but that's not your philosophy. So like you're very good at training the way you like to play, and so if you're gonna start changing that because of the opposition, you're not going to be as good, because that's not how you like to play. You're not training the players.
But if you're getting bad every game, what's
I
the
know,
difference?
but that's I think, look, in terms of Norwich, I know they're having an uptick now, but I think it's just the level of like players they have. Like, what can he do? I know he could change it up and start playing defensive and start playing a lot more pragmatic, which maybe you could argue he should because of the level of play he has, but when I just feel like the gap in quality is so big, like he might as well try and play football because they're going to go down anyway, kind of thing. And some managers are better adapting. Maybe that's a fault in Farke. He's not very good at adapting to the situation, but I commend him for how he tries to play football. And I'm not going to criticize him because the level at Norwich is very, very low, basically.
At the end of the day, I mean, he needed more from the owners there on the board.
Exactly. He never got.
They didn't give him a chance, really. Let's be honest.
How can you expect to keep him up when the squad is worse than it was 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I felt bad for him. But Dean Smith is doing all right, to be fair, to get any results.
Look, they're having a bit of a manager bounce, but I do still expect them to go down.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that when you're looking at Spurs coming into this weekend, how much rotation are you expecting on the weekend?
I think that it probably won't be too much. I think it's going to be similar.
So when do you think the rotation is going to start then?
Probably in the busy period. Like right now, I know we're playing Thursday, Sunday, but you do that Europa League, don't you? So although we do tend to change, but I think we got the Europa League on Thursday, so yeah, I'm expecting a few changes there. And then
it gets busy after that with Brighton on the 12th, Leicester on the 16th, Liverpool on the 19th. Right.
So I'm expecting that's quite busy. So I'm expecting a few changes. Although 4 days is decent enough rest. 3 days
between Leicester and Liverpool, that's going to be a tough one.
It's going to be a tough one. And you don't really want to be making changes for the Liverpool game. You want your first 11 for that one. So
Leicester away as well. You pretty much want your first team there too.
Yeah, but if you want to rest for one of them,
it's probably going to be Leicester,
isn't it? So I don't expect changes on Sunday, to be honest. I think it's probably going to be the same team, the team he trusts at the moment. But I think once it gets to that busy period, especially when it's Christmas time, you've got to expect changes then.
Yeah. All right. What score prediction are you going for this weekend?
I'm going to go for 2-0.
Yeah, I was thinking 2-0 as well. I think that if our defence steps up like they did last night, and the structure of the team is the same, with Reguilon bombing up and Højbjerg and Skip playing really well, Kane putting in those passes throughout the middle of the park, and Sonny looking as sharp as he did, I think that we should really dispatch of them 2 or 3-0 on the weekend.
Yeah, you got to expect that. Especially after the win against Brentford. Is also looking at the league table, how it's opened up again, and we're not in a bad position now. In terms of we've got 4th in our own hands at the moment because we've got the game in hand. I know it's still very tight, Man United obviously winning, and they're looking like they might come back strong as well, because just the quality they have in their squad, it's probably just a matter of time before they start playing well. But we have to have confidence in ourselves at the moment, and Conte, I'm sure, will instill that confidence in the team. And if we can go on a bit of a run, maybe that fourth spot is there for us. I mean, it's going to be tough because I think Man United, I mean, it's, even though they had such a bad one under Oli, with a new manager, new ideas, and that the talent they have, it's just supreme, isn't it? They've got a more talented squad than us. I can't deny that. So if they start playing well, it's going to be difficult to overcome them. But I just got to hope that maybe it's going to take time for them to under Rangnick.
Yes, hope so. Let's hope so. But Sim's going 2-0. I think I'm going to go 3-0 in this one. And yeah, I want to know your score predictions in the comment section below. But that is our match preview.